We're live.
Thank you, Connor. Good morning. It's 9:33 a.m. It's December 18th, 2025. This is the convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. I'm Jordan Maynard. I serve as chair. It's public meeting number 576. We're hosting this meeting virtually, so we will do a roll call. Good morning, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Hill.
Good morning. I am here.
Good morning, Commissioner Skinner.
Good morning.
And good morning, Commissioner Broder.
Good morning.
All right. So we're going to go first with Secretary Broder, and I know he'll have to split this up because I was gone definitely one of those dates. So Secretary Broder.
Yes, sir. So we have three different tranches of minutes. We'll start with a pair. Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission approve the meeting minutes of our meetings on March 18th, 2024 and October 29th, 2024, as presented in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today, subject as always to any revisions for typographical errors or other non-material matters.
Second.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
And Commissioner Broder.
Abstain.
And I vote yes. 4 and
Mr.
1.
Chairman, tranche number 2, I move that the commission accept the minutes from meetings held on November 12th, 2025 and November 13th, 2025, as contained in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today, subject to any revisions for typographical errors or other non-material matters.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
And Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes. 5-0.
And finally, Mr. Chairman, for non-executive session minutes, I move that the commission approve the minutes for our meeting held on November 20th, 2025, as provided for in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today, subject to any revisions for typographical errors or other non-material matters.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I will thank Commissioner O'Brien for chairing that meeting, and I will abstain. So 4 and 1 abstention. All right. Anything else, Secretary Broder?
And other than thanking our team that has worked very hard to kind of catch up on the minutes, we're in a pretty good spot, and that is due to their good work. So I appreciate everything they've done.
Well said. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your work. We're now going to turn it to item number 3, and for that, we'll go to ED Serpa.
Good morning, Chair Maynard. Thank you very much, and hello, commissioners. We only have one update this morning, but it's actually a very important one. Commissioners, as you know, after a long and distinguished career here at the Gaming Commission and at the Commonwealth, Joe Delaney, our Division Chief of Community Affairs, will be retiring in just a few weeks. And today is his last public meeting with the Commission. We'll still see him in the hallways for a few more weeks, but since he's been such a star on the public meeting show, I wanted to make sure we called it out for today, his last public meeting. But commissioners, you all know more than I, Joe has been an invaluable contributor to the commission, first by overseeing the construction at the 3 casino properties, and then, as manager of the community affairs department, which included his stewardship of the Community Mitigation Fund. He's a true professional, a great colleague, and he's extremely dedicated to the quality of his work, which and of course, any work that he performs on behalf of the agency is extremely important to him and the quality of that work. For me, as executive director, the current executive director, I have to thank Joe for his knowledge and the tutorials he gave me in my time here. He always afforded me the seat across from his desk where he would thoughtfully explain the long history of an issue to me and point out any key decision points that I should be considering or understanding. He's a trusted colleague and friend to all the staff here at the commission. So on behalf of myself and the staff, I want to thank Joe, and I'm sure that you all might have some items you want to add. But Joe, I see you on the screen there, and you're actually just one room over. Appreciate everything, and I know everybody else does, and best wishes. Thank you. And
Thank
that's
you.
it.
Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you, Edie Serpa. Joe, you don't get off that easy. I got to ask the commissioners if they want to say nice things about you. You've got to listen. All right, Commissioner O'Brien, Commissioner Broder.
I'll make it quick, Joe. I wish you luck and enjoyment in your retirement. It's well earned. Anybody who does 40 years of public service deserves more than a plaque at the end of it. You have been a wonderful contributor to this commission. You were here finishing the construction of the casinos when I first got here and pivoted over to take over the other responsibilities that you've done since 2020. I am going to miss being able to walk in your office, like yesterday and talk about non-work stuff, life, municipal challenges that you know the other side of. So your skill set was more than just what your title said. And I know you'll navigate retirement and have a wonderful post-public service life. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien. Commissioner Broder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I think I'm the only person of the commissioners that has dealt with Joe in some respects as a customer when I was mayor, and I use this word very loosely, boss, as a member of the commission. So I have a unique perspective on the skill set and the dedication that Joe brought and still brings, because I know he's running through the tape. We deal with a lot of money, and that means a lot of responsibility. And nobody took that mission and that commitment to doing good things with those dollars than Joe. So in addition to thanking you on behalf of myself and the commission, I know other folks are going to speak, but I will thank you on behalf of the communities of the Commonwealth that benefited over many years from your work. Well done, sir. And like Commissioner O'Brien said, enjoy your retirement. It is well earned.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Commissioner Broder. Commissioner Skinner.
Morning, Joe. Just want to say thank you very much for your contribution to the agency and to the Commonwealth. 40 plus years of public service. It's to be commended. I wish you tons and tons and tons of peace, joy, and happiness, and whatever else it is you like to do in your spare time on your retirement, during your retirement. Congratulations and a job well done to you.
Thanks, Nikisha.
Commissioner Hill.
I don't have anything to say. Why would I say anything? Joe, you're one of the very first people I met when I came over here, and I think over the last 4 years, I've learned more from you than anybody I ever have in state government. It's already been said about the talk of your municipal life experience that you had. Actually, Commissioner Broder, I too have had experience with Joe in another life with his block grant experience over at DEP, as many of my communities when I was over in the legislature would fill out those applications and would go to Joe for as much help as they could get, but more importantly, the funds that you distributed over there, which took you over to the Mass Gaming Commission. And I have been able to work with you for 4 straight years as a member of the subcommittee on the Community Mitigation Fund. And there is nobody in state government that dots the I's and crosses the T's like Joseph Delaney does. But more importantly, knowing the issue of not just one community, but every community that applies for those funds, Joe puts his head right into these applications And if he can't, or if he identifies that a application needs help, he reaches back out to the community so that he can say, how can we help you get these funds? So congratulations and thank you for that part of the world that you and I have experienced together. But more importantly, I am going to miss Joe's new hobby of making maple syrup from scratch, from the tree to the bottle. I've experienced Joe's new hobby, and I will miss that every year, getting my bottle of your maple syrup, which is top notch and could compete against any farm in Massachusetts. And also our love of rock music and the concerts that we have gone to over our lifetime. I'm going to miss those nice conversations that we have. It's the personal touch, Joe, that I'm going to miss the most. I think it was Commissioner O'Brien who said, we can just walk into your office and have great conversations, not just about the community mitigation fund, but life itself. And that's what I'm going to miss the most, Joe. So I too wish you the very best in your retirement, and wish you the best of luck with you and your family, because I know you're going to enjoy them just as much as you always do.
Thank you, Brad. And a bottle of syrup might find its way to your desk in the spring.
I look forward to it.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Joe, I'll just say, when I first started, I was walking by an office one day and you had some tools out fixing somebody's desk, one of your colleagues' desk. I don't know if you remember that, but it made an impression on me because it shows who Joe is, which is he's willing to get in there, do the hard work, take care of his colleagues, and leave the place better than he found it. And that was, to me, it showed not only your engineering skills, which we all know you have, but it also shows your people skills. You taught me a lot about how we do community mitigation grants, taking me on more tours than I imagined you ever wanted to. And it helped me out a lot. And just to reiterate, your family, I've had an opportunity to meet a few of them, and the way they feel about you and the way you feel about them is evident. Walking by your office and seeing you watching your daughter's news clips as you're working was, something that, really made an impression on me as somebody that appreciates, family comes first. So I hope you enjoy your family, and well done. And thank you for your service to the Commonwealth for all these many years.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate all the lovely comments. It means a lot.
Anything to say?
I guess, when I started come to work here, almost 10 years ago, I kind of thought it was my last best chance to sort of reinvent myself. And I think I did that. I got to, as an engineer, as a civil and environmental engineer, I got to work on two of the largest construction projects to ever happen in the Commonwealth. And that was a temptation as an engineer that you wouldn't turn that up. And two beautiful projects. And not only that, there was huge environmental cleanup that was done there, which was, a testament to the projects as well. When COVID came along, I had to pivot and sort of reinvent myself again. And I think I was able to do that pretty successfully. You never know exactly where the journey is going to take you. But all the way through it, I think really it's the people that I worked with that set everything apart here. I work with some very wonderful people. I work with some of the smartest people I've ever known, some of the most dedicated people I've ever known. And not just here, between the licensees, I worked with some wonderful people at Encore and MGM and Plainridge Park, and and from the local community mitigation advisory committees and the subcommittee, and all of the people at the cities and towns that I deal with on a regular basis. It's been a wonderful experience being able to help a lot of people and to work with some just extremely talented people. So, you know, the CMF review team here has been great and helping us out on doing things. So it's been a great run. It really has. I'm not a guy who spends a lot of time looking back. But in these last couple of months while I've been preparing for this, I have been looking back. And you know, I've had a pretty interesting career, and this piece of it is right up there in the list of all of the things that I've done, of some of the most interesting things I've ever done. But before I let you guys get back to the meeting, I just do want to give special thanks to Mary Thurlow. Mary was here before I started. She's got here after I'm leaving. She has been a constant throughout my entire tenure here. And I appreciate her every single day. So thank you, Mary. If you're on, if you're not, she knows how I feel. But anyway, thank you everyone for all those kind words. And, you know, I'm hoping that I get invited back to other retirement parties and so on, so that I can see all of you again at some point. But thank you.
Thank you, Chief Delaney. I did see Mary hopped on. Mary has anything to add or? Oh, you're on mute, Mary.
And one of the things I'm not gonna miss leaving the commission is having to hear you're on mute ever again.
Yeah, no, Joe and I had a great run. We always were able to get the work out and done, and you know, he was wonderful to work with. Always had a good story when things were glum, and I'm gonna miss you, Joe.
Likewise.
But we'll be in touch. That's it. He was great to work with.
Thank you, Mary. Well, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Joe. And I'm going to take it back to ED Serpa.
That's it for today's update, Chair Maynard. Thank you.
Well, again, job well done, Joe. And we'll see you around the office for the next few weeks. We'll move on with that to item number 4. And for that, I believe we're going to kick it over to Dr. Lightbeth. Dr. Lightbound, I believe your microphone is not working. I see you're talking, but.
Is it working now?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. A little bit, I had my computer redone yesterday, so things are a little shaky this morning. So today, first of all, thank you for taking this item out of order. And we're talking about the racehorse development benefits for drivers. That's part of Chapter 23K, Section 60, where 4% of the racehorse development fund money that goes to health and welfare benefits. The commission determines how much of that should go from the horsemen's group to the drivers or jockeys. So in this case, we're talking about the drivers for now. In the harness industry, the drivers are included in the association. So they already receive the benefits, the vision, the retirement savings plan, and all that the other members of the Harness Horsemen's Group do. And there also is not a separate drivers organization to give money to. So in the past, where they're already included in the benefits, the commission has not given out a separate amount. Today, we do have Managing Director Alice Tisbert and President Bob McHugh on if there's any questions.
All right. Questions, commissioners? I don't think I have any. I know that this is something we take up every year around this time.
Yeah.
We do have this marked up, right, Dr. Lightbound?
Yes, it is marked up for a vote today.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yep. I move that under 23K section 60C sub 3. I'm sorry, what's the? Actually, I think I've got the wrong one here, Alex.
Oh, that's it. That's correct.
Is that it? I'm sorry.
Yep,
What's,
section
I'm sorry, what's
60,
the
section C,
dollar amount?
0.
0. That $0 shall be paid by the Standardbred Horsemen's Organization to the Standardbred Drivers Organization is the horse racing facility for health insurance, life insurance, or other benefits to active and disabled thoroughbred jockeys or standardbred drivers under the rules and eligibility requirements of that organization for reasons discussed here today and is included in the commissioner's packet.
Second.
thank you. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill, Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder,
Yes.
and I vote yes, 5-0. All right, anything else on that matter? Dr. Lightbound.
No more on that matter. We'll see you all later on in the meeting for the rest of the racing items. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, and happy to accommodate our guests here today, and thank you for joining us. We are now going to turn it over to item number 5, and that's a section 97 update. I don't know who's going to take the driver's seat on this. I don't know if it's General Counsel Stempeck or Director Mark Vander Linden.
I think Bonnie's actually going to start off, and then we're going to tag team this, and she's going to hand it off to me, and we'll do it together.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you so much. So very briefly, Section 97 of Chapter 194 of the Acts of 2011 requires gaming licensees to supply the Massachusetts Gaming Commission with data collected from casino player loyalty programs. In turn, the MGC is required to contract with a research entity to anonymize the data and make that data available to qualified researchers in order to conduct analyses that improve understanding of how gambling addiction develops and progresses, develop evidence-based harm minimization strategies, and develop evidence-based systems to monitor, detect, and intervene in high-risk gambling. At the Commission's open meeting on November 21st, 2024, Mark Vander Linden gave an update on the status of the project. At that time, he reported that the MGC team intended to enter into an interdepartmental services agreement with the University of Massachusetts Donahue Institute to work with ID Pair and the UMass Data Science and Software Engineering Corps for this project. And we're here today to report on project progress since that update. The MGC entered into an interdepartmental services agreement on January 9th, 2025, and on that project has been ongoing. Since the beginning of January, ID Pairs developed client code to parse, hash, and upload Massachusetts casino data, and UMDI and ID Pair have discussed the anonymization process with UMass and MGC legal teams to assist with developing data use agreements. And for more on the data use agreements, I will turn it over to our interim general counsel, Justin Stempeck.
Thank you, Bonnie. I'll provide a brief background to sum up the work we've done on this front. So, as Bonnie mentioned, in early 2025, we entered the ISA with the UMass group. And after we finalized the contract, our legal team internal to the MGC began looking outside of the MGC for data privacy experts in this space, from legal data privacy experts, I should say, since we don't have that talent internally. Relatively quickly in 2025, we ultimately selected a retained counsel from Morse Law. Counsel from Morse is on the meeting with us today. That's Faith Kasparian and Ryan Perry. They have been extremely helpful in helping us navigate this path. As I think all of us on the call and probably watching at home know, data privacy is a ongoing, growing issue in everything we do online, and it has a lot of nooks and crannies that are quite difficult to ascertain. So after we engaged with Morse in early 25, we immediately began working on a data disclosure agreement that would clarify the moving of the data amongst the various entities involved, as that's essentially the standard that we all expect in 2025. The first half of 2025 was spent working on that agreement with UMass and ID Pair. After we finalized the agreement between those three parties, including ourselves, we circulated a draft agreement to our operators this past August. We had numerous meetings and exchanged significant correspondence with our licensees to finalize those agreements. We have now a finalized agreement with one of the three licensees, and the other two are in, I would say, final stage negotiations and red lines to hopefully get those resolved very early in 2026, at which point we would expect to engage in a brief testing phase to make sure that the system as we set it up is as secure as we can possibly make it. And then the data repository will become active and data would begin to flow. So I'll just tag in Faith and Ryan if they have any context to add, since they're the data privacy experts. If they have any additions, feel free to make them. I think they're on the call. Faith or Ryan?
Nothing further specific to add, except for that the MGC, the team, including Commissioners O'Brien and Maynard, and Dr. Andrews and Mark and Justin have worked so diligently to kind of push this and push the licensees to really get this project moving forward. And it's been a pleasure to collaborate with them.
So with that, I think it's back to you, Bonnie, just to wrap this up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So in parallel with finalizing the data use agreements, UMDI and the data core team have also assessed the legal and technical needs of the MGC, as well as working with ID Pair to develop some synthetic data, to develop a data architecture for a data storage system that can be quickly and easily implemented. And this system will allow researchers to analyze the data within a secure environment. They've begun meeting with operators to discuss data transmission. MGC has also worked with UMDI on the development of data use agreements for researchers to sign on who will be analyzing the data. And MGC is finalizing a policy on approval of qualified researchers to access the data. And this policy will be presented to the Commission for approval. So with that, I think I will turn it over for any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Andrews. I will start not with a question, but a statement, which is the commission made clear where we were on this. There was a little muck up, I think, on some of the mechanics, and Commissioner O'Brien and I doubled back to see if they were doing what the commission asked for them to do. I'll make it clear that the commission is not a holdup in this conversation at this point. We have done everything we need to do, and we're waiting on finalization. And I want to thank Penn National for getting it inked and making sure that they're on the way to do the right thing. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, commissioners, for comments or questions.
So if I could, before questions pop in, just reiterate what the chair just said in terms of the effort that's been put in by this team to get this off the ground. I want to thank Penn for being the first signatory moving forward on this. I believe we're close on one of the others. And I anticipate continued good faith on everyone's part. I will say if it continues much into the new year, I'm going to raise the question of non-compliance. But I think right now, everyone is working diligently and in good faith to bring this in to comply with the statute. And so thank you back to the attorneys and the team that have done this. Great work.
Anything else? Faith's a rock star. I'll add that. The whole team's rock stars, but Faith's a rock star. All right. Well, if there's nothing else on that front, we do expect compliance, and we will, as Commissioner O'Brien said, bring this back to the full commission for a compliance conversation if this doesn't get over the line. All right. Anything else on this piece? Justin? Mark?
Nope, that's it. I just unmuted because I'm next on the agenda too. So.
All right. Let's turn it then to item number 6. And for that, we will stick with Councilor Stepek.
Thank you, Chair. So the first regulation we're bringing up today tags back to September 30th, 2025, when there was initial discussion by the Commission surrounding the practice of limiting sports wagering bettors in Massachusetts. There was a presentation done by Carrie Teresi and her team going through that practice, and there was I think a robust discussion on that front. As a result of that discussion, the Commission had asked legal to put together a couple options for potential regulations that would address this issue. In the packet today, starting at page 35, there's a memo which explains the proposals that legal brings to the table today. Both of these proposed options would live within the sports wagering internal control regulation, which is at 205 CMR 238.3. We propose 2 different options for consideration and discussion today. This would also be for initial promulgation. So just to be clear on that front, what that would mean is that if the Commission were to vote on one of these options moving forward today, it would go out for public comment. We would, I'm sure, receive robust public comment from members of the public as well as our operators, which would then ultimately come back for review and discussion by the full Commission. So this would just be the start of the discussion. But the 2 options that we have outlined here today, our option A would require that operators within their internal controls that were submitted to the sports wagering division would have to include procedures to provide timely notice to a patron that their wagering activity has been limited. And then option B has a little bit more detail required. It would require procedures to provide timely notice to a patron that their wagering activity has been limited, including a specific explanation for the attachment of the limits and identification as to which markets are so limited. So it's there's some additional requirements there. So those are the 2 options. I'm sure there's other options out there, but those are the ones we're starting with. So for discussion here today, and if there's additional requirements, we can certainly take those into account in our drafting, but those are the first ones we wanted to put out for discussion.
All right. So are we opening it up to questions or any further comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hill.
I think right from the very start of this conversation that started, many months ago, I've always been of the feeling that at the very least, we need to let the folks know why they're being limited. So I'm all for going right for A, clearly. In B, I don't see why we wouldn't take that extra step. If we're gonna tell you that you're being limited, well then now let's talk a little further and give a better explanation. And I don't really think that this is a hard thing to do for the operators to help with the consumer. So actually, I started out as A only when this discussion started, but I think I've evolved into thinking that A and B is appropriate for Massachusetts.
Thank you.
So there's the start of the conversation.
And Commissioner Broder's mute is off, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, I agree with what Commissioner Hill just said, though I don't think I started off at A. I think I started off at B. But just providing notice begs the question, right? I'm not sure that is going to satisfy any patron if they get that notice, because they get functional notice when they try to bet outside whatever the imposed limit is, and it doesn't work. So it's full disclosure and transparency. I think providing that additional information makes sense.
Thank you, Commissioner Broder. Commissioner Skinner.
Yeah, option B for me all the way. And then, there's a question that remains unanswered as to whether that is sufficient. Option B is what we've laid out here. So looking forward to continuing the conversation, looking forward to this being put out for public comment. going to reiterate what I've been saying all along, and in that transparency is the goal here. And I think to get to full transparency, at the very least, you have to have the information that this proposed regulation calls for made absolutely clear to patrons.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien.
Yeah, just reiterating what my fellow commissioners have said, particularly what Commissioner Skinner just said, which is at minimum, I think we start there, we get comment and we go forward. I would add from my view, it's not just transparency, it's also fundamental fairness. So I think this provides transparency. We get feedback, we start moving in this direction, but I do think fundamental fairness is part of the calculus as we move forward.
I agree. We are the first jurisdiction in the United States to take up this issue and to continue to study this issue. A question from Commissioner Skinner sparked what has become us being the leaders on this issue. I agree that we should go with B. The reason being, and I was between it, like Commissioner Hill, I was between it, and what I thought about was, well, the operators keep telling me they're not limiting many people, and Carrie found that to be true. So if they're not limiting many people, they should be able to tell people why they're limiting them and explain when they're going to get off the limitation, when they're coming on, and so forth. I joined Commissioner Skinner, Commissioner O'Brien, I think I heard it across the board, in asking Chief Teresi to stay on top of this and to make sure that we check in on this again, perhaps to even do another sweep of the data next year, to see if anything that we did here today moved the needle in a positive direction. So I want to thank Chief Teresi on her leadership on studying this. This was not an easy topic to take on. I want to thank my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Skinner especially, for raising the topic, and thank the team. And I think that this is a good thing for the citizens and patrons of the Commonwealth.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hill.
I move that the commission approve the small business impact statement and the draft of 205 CMR 238.30 as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today, and further that the staff be authorized to take steps necessary to file the required documentation with the Secretary of the Commonwealth to begin the regulation promulgation process.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I am an enthusiastic yes. 5-0. All right.
Great. You're sticking with me for another regulation. And so the next regulation we're bringing forth for the commission to consider are certain amendments to 205 CMR 116.1, which addresses interim authorization, and this is in relation to transfers of interest. The proposed amendments, which are explained in detail in the memo beginning at page 43 of your packet, make two main changes to the regulation. First, as amended, it would provide the commission the opportunity to decide whether to request an interim authorization report from the IEB or to proceed to a full suitability review on a case-by-case basis. Second, the amendments would retain required timelines for both the interim and full authorization, but allow the commission to extend those timelines if necessary. So just by way of brief context for why this is coming forward, and Director of IB, Caitlin Monahan, can add some flavor, but the commission may recall that last year we dealt with some transfer of interest issues surrounding a transfer of interest involving Bally's, and there was some bumps we hit along the requirements, the shalls, I guess I should say, that were contained within the regulation, which made that a little bit cumbersome to address. So these changes as proposed here today would allow for additional flexibility by the commission when we have transfers of interest coming before you. But if Caitlin's here, she can perhaps add a little bit more context to that discussion.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I actually have to say, I think Justin really covered it. The changes to the reg are basically giving the commission flexibility here.
All right. So Councilor Stinpig, IEB Director Monahan, commissioners, questions for either one of them? I'll just say I support the measure, understanding that it gives flexibility to the commission. Commissioner O'Brien,
I move that the commission approve the small business impact statement and the draft of 205 CMR 116.10 as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today, and further that staff be authorized to take the steps necessary to file required documentation with the Secretary of the Commonwealth to begin the regulation promulgation process.
Good.
second from Commissioner Hill. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder,
Yes.
and I vote yes, 5-0.
Thank you, Chair and Commission. I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Melanie Fox, Associate General Counsel, for the next and final regulation for today.
Thank you, Justin. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I'll continue with the regulation amendment to 205 CMR 234.09, terms of sports wager vendor license or registration renewal. The materials begin on page 53 of your packet. The regulation was first presented for initial discussion and review on October 23rd, 2025. As presented in the red line and memorandum today, the first change would increase the initial term from 3 to 5 years, and the second change would increase the renewal date from the last day of the month on the 3rd anniversary to the last day of the month on the 5th anniversary of the renewal date. Since the sports wagering vendor licenses were due to expire in December 2025, this amendment was brought forward with a request for a vote for emergency enactment in the interest of preventing any lapse in time when the licenses expire and the implementation of the new regulation requirements. On October 24th, 2025, the amended draft was filed by emergency and has been making its way through the normal promulgation process. A public hearing was held on December 2nd, 2025, and there were no comments received by the Commission. This regulation is now back before you with an amended small business impact statement and a request for a vote for final adoption. And if there are any questions or comments, myself and I believe CEC Kramer and Director Monahan are present.
Commissioners, I know that we did discuss this. Any further questions on this end of the promulgation process? Do we have a motion? Thank you, Councilor Fox, as always.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hill.
I move that the commission approve the amended small business impact statement and the draft of 205 CMR 234.09 as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today, and further that staff be authorized to take steps necessary to file the required documentation with the Secretary of Commonwealth to finalize the regulation promulgation process.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder,
Yes.
and I vote yes, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Stipik, anything else?
That's everything for legal until I see you at an executive session later, but you can move along. Thank you, Chair and Commission.
Thank you, Councilor. With that, Commissioners, we're going to go to item number 7. And that will be with Director Monahan.
Yes, hello. We have 3 matters for you today from the IAB. The first, I'm going to hand over to Senior Enforcement Counsel Zach Mercer, and it relates to a sports wagering non-compliance matter for the Commission's initial review and decision on how to move forward. So Zach, and take it away.
Thank you, Caitlin. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. This alleged non-compliance incident involves Category 3 sports wagering licensee American Wagering, Inc., doing business as Caesars Sportsbook, and implicates General Laws, Chapter 23N, Section 13D, 205 CMR 247.077, and 205 CMR 248.103, prohibiting wagers directly or indirectly funded by credit card in the Commonwealth. In Caesars accepted 88 wagers funded by credit card placed by 35 patrons with a total handle of $1,256.07. This occurred in scenarios in which patrons made deposits into their accounts while physically located in jurisdictions where credit card deposits are permissible, then returning to Massachusetts with those funds in their accounts. The alleged noncompliance occurred between October 15th, 2025 and October 28th, 2025, and was the result of an internal configuration error on Caesars platform. Caesars discovered the noncompliance on that date, October 28th, 2025, and notified the sports wagering division on the same day. They also disabled wagering in Massachusetts until it implemented a remedy that was implemented on that same day, October 28th, 2025. Obviously, I'm happy to take any questions the commissioners may have on those facts. But otherwise, as the IEB does in these situations, we're seeking the commission's guidance on next steps. Those options, to remind the commission, are to move the matter to an adjudicatory hearing, refer the matter to the IEB pursuant to 205 CMR 232, where the IEB would conduct a further investigation and provide a recommendation to the commission, or under 23N16, issue a civil administrative penalty. But as I said, happy to take any questions at this time.
Councilman Mercer, I see a lot of mutes off. I'm going to go with Commissioner Skinner first.
Commissioner Skinner.
Yeah. The configuration error, do you have any more detail as to the nature of that? Because this is a small period of time, relatively small period of time, and that suggests that at one point the configuration was correct, and then something happened. Do we have any information as to what that was?
Sure. So in the initial reporting from Caesars, there was a software update of sorts involving their player account management that led to an error in the filtering of funds there. With a further investigation, I could certainly get a in-depth description from Caesars as to exactly what the technical processes are there from the experts on their end.
And was this self-reported? I'm sorry if you.
It was correct.
You did that. And
yes.
How confident is the IEB, or how confident is the operator that this is that period of time in October 2025 is the extent of the non-compliance period?
I can't speak to anything that happened prior to the initial date of their reported start of the non-compliance incident, but they reported in their submissions to the sports wagering division that they're confident that the remedy they implemented was successful.
Okay, thank you. Chair, I'll yield for questions from fellow commissioners.
All important questions, Commissioner Skinner. Commissioner Broder.
Not so much a question as a comment, as we try to figure out what to do, and I'd love to hear from my fellow commissioners. But the extension of credit for me, and I know for the commission, is an extremely serious violation. It's a statutory violation. We have obviously taken it very seriously in the past. We don't need to regurgitate that record. I think it's very clear in the public realm how seriously we take this. I'm not suggesting it is the same, but it's certainly the context. The context matters. Referring it back to the IEB, I don't think it is a reflection on lack of seriousness or lack of concern on behalf of the commissioners as to the nature of this particular violation. So I'm a little bit torn, but I do want to make clear that regardless of where this lands, what our decision is, that this is an extremely serious matter, and that it is something that we take very, very seriously. I think the industry knows that, but I'd like to hear my fellow commissioners about whether or not an adjudicatory hearing will help us decide where we want to go with this, or whether or not, given that we've made it very clear how serious this is, we can kick it back to the IEB.
Commissioner Broder, Commissioner O'Brien.
So I had the same reaction as Commissioner Broder and some of the questions that Commissioner Skinner asked. I am conflicted about whether to do adjudicatory in this, given the severity of the violation in terms of it's a statutory violation. We've made clear matters to us. Some of the representations that were made in terms of they're confident they fixed the problem. I mean, we had that with another licensee who was also confident, and then a deeper dive showed maybe it was not exactly the most fruitful assessment and testing of their systems. So I have a lot of the same questions. I would, to the extent I'm willing to send it back to IEB for adjudication, I would hope, anticipate, and expect the questions we asked of the other licensee who went through a multi-day adjudicatory hearing and a hefty fine and consequences at the end. That would be, to me, the map you use in conducting an investigation. I want the same questions asked. I want the same, evidence of testing and fixing this problem so it doesn't happen again. Actual confirmation that there are no priors, not just we're confident we fixed it. Have them walk you through exactly how they did that. And then in terms of if it is going back to IEB, I would want, as one commissioner, as I've expressed lately, any punishment to be proportionate to the offense and to constitute deterrence. So those are my thoughts on it, Commissioner Broder, and to my fellow commissioners. I can go either way on adjudicatory or sending it back, but to the extent that it gets sent back, that would be sort of my framework and my expectations.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill.
Chairman Maynard, I'm going to come out of left field on this one. I've philosophically believed that we should be sending these to IEB, but for some reason, when I saw this particular one, red flags went up for me. And I felt it didn't even take me a second to think to myself that this should be an adjudicatory hearing. Say that 3 times in the Hill household, and that's what you're going to get. I'm not sure why this one was red flagged when I read it, but it really was. It's the severity of the credit card. This is something that this commission, since day one, has cared a lot about. And I think Commissioner Broder said it, the rest, the other jurisdictions know how we feel about it. So if you can believe this or not, Chairman Maynard, I'm going to ask that we have the hearing.
Going on 4 years of this commission, I can believe anything that comes out of my colleagues' mouths at any time. So Commissioner Skinner was back off, and then Commissioner O'Brien was back off. Can I jump in? I think I'm the only one that hasn't went yet. Agree with everything my colleague said. We levied the harshest penalty in the United States on an operator for this very issue. I'm not going to connect the 2 issues, but that operator went on to nationally get rid of credit cards off their platform. If that doesn't show you how impactful that the commission can be when it needs to be. I am perfectly fine with sending it back, and I'm perfectly fine with us doing an adjudicatory hearing. So I'm torn. I probably didn't add any clarity there. Either way, we will expect the same level of professionalism and invest, I would say, into the issue. So Commissioner Skinner or Commissioner O'Brien, whoever wants to go first. Given that.
I'll just close out with my preference. I'm right where Commissioners Broder and O'Brien are. I yielded because I was hoping to get, I was hoping to be persuaded one way or the other. But I will say my gut was right where Commissioner Hill's was and is. I think this should be reviewed as an adjudicatory hearing. So I think that Commissioner Hill convinced me because I think, he said it himself. Usually his philosophy is to, have this go back to the IEB. And to me, that's saying a lot if he is opting to send this to an adjudicatory hearing before the commission. That being said, I can think independently. And I was going to say that I think the caveats, the conditions and caveats that Commissioners Broder and O'Brien set forth, that would also work for me. I don't know if that even adds clarity, but again, I think I want to go with my gut and have this come before us as part of an adjudicatory hearing for the reasons stated by my fellow commissioners.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I can give it critical mass. Like I said, I was torn. I very often will come out of the gate saying we should keep it and it gets sent back. So my thought that maybe another voice would be persuasive on my fellow commissioners. I sat back. I do have to say that even hearing one other commissioner feel they feel that way with me pushes me toward adjudicatory hearing. So we can get some of the answers that we got the last time that this came in front of us, given the severity of it. And the severity in terms of statutory violation, I realized it was an isolated time period, but just the fact of what we're talking about.
And of course, we'll always strive to be equitable and fair and strike the balance as the statute requires us to do. So I'm in agreement. We'll do an adjudicatory hearing, and if the facts are as presented today, it should be a short adjudicatory hearing. So that's what we hope for. But that said, I joined Commissioner O'Brien with, we do remember when it was a self-reporting, but there was additional information found. And so we would expect this operator to do the same if they find anything between now and that hearing. Are we good on that issue? All right. Thank you,
Thank you
Zach.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next agenda item, which is an update from Division Chief of the Gaming Agents Division, Bert Kane, related to an amendment to the floor plan at Encore Boston Harbor. So I'll turn it over to Bert.
Thanks, Caitlin. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Great to see everybody. I'd like to provide a brief overview of the proposed gaming floor expansion amendment for Encore and to outline the steps the IAB will be undertaking pursuant to our regulatory responsibilities. Joining me today to help answer any questions is Louis Lozano, Casino Regulatory Manager for Encore. We're going to share a PowerPoint that can be found on page 58 of your packet. All right. First slide, under CMR 205 CMR 138.7, the IAB is responsible for the regulatory oversight, inspection, and approval of any amendments to a licensee's gaming floor layout. This includes ensuring compliance with all internal controls, surveillance coverage standards, patron safety requirements, and slot certification obligations. As a background, in April of 2025, Encore submitted a formal request seeking approval to expand its total gaming area. After review, the IAB granted preliminary approval for this expansion. On December 10th, the area was turned over to Encore slot team for installation and configuration. And between December 19 and 22, the IAB will conduct its final regulatory inspection of this new gaming area. Planned opening date is on pace for the week of Christmas through New Year's, to be determined, and pending successful completion of the IAB's inspection and approval. Slide 2. This is a summary of the expansion proposal. Total gaming area increase will go from 204.8 thousand square feet to 208.5 thousand square feet. That's roughly 3,700 more square feet. The location is the old on-deck burger bar, estimated to be approximately 93 slot machines. There'll be no new table games in this area, and also a proposed service bar that our licensing unit will be discussing shortly. And lastly, slide 3 is just a map showing you where this addition is. You'll note the blue area on the second level of the casino floor. This is the new slot zone expansion. Upon confirmation of full regulatory compliance, the expanded area may be authorized for public operation. We appreciate Encore's collaboration throughout this process and appreciate the help of our gaming agents who are on site 24/7. With that, Louis and I would be happy to answer any questions you have on this expansion.
I will start by saying McHugh award-winning Louis Lozano, which is our highest honor here at the Gaming Commission. He just got that yesterday. Commissioners, questions? All right. We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, Clearly, you can tell I'm catching a cold as well because I am not speaking very well today. I just wanted to make a very quick comment with the 2x2s we had and the presentation that we just received. I would have no problem moving forward with what's being proposed and thank the staff for the good work they've done to get the message out to us on this proposed.
I always try to lean towards making sure that if the property has a good idea on how to use their space and it's used in a proper manner, that we follow that and we appreciate that. So I think this is a proper use.
Mr. Chairman, technical question. So there's on our agenda, this isn't marked up for a vote, but then there is an amendment marked up for a vote on the beverage license. So I'm not sure where we're at.
That, Chair, if you'd like. So, Commissioner Broder, there are two different matters because floor plan extensions are actually approved by the IAB. There's a process set out in the regs. The IAB approves them, and then we let the commission know, as we're doing now. We're doing it in advance here because it's going to happen over the holidays likely, but that's sort of under the IAB's purview. The next agenda item is for an amendment to the liquor license, which does relate again to this on-deck burger reconfiguration, but the commission does need to approve that. So that's why it's the two separate items.
All right, so off we go to the beverage license.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
this was a veto. I think this was a veto conversation, Commissioner Broder, not a vote conversation. All right. Director Monahan, Dean.
Great. So we have our first appearance at a commission meeting for a presentation from Rich Lawless, who's in our licensing division. He is going to present Encore's request for an amendment to the beverage license, again related to this reconfiguration of the former on-deck burger space. So Rich, take it away.
Thank you, Director Monahan. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here today to present to you a proposal from Encore to amend their licensed beverage area to include a new service bar. It's called Service Bar number 9. You can find the information on this in the public meeting packet starting on page 63. As was previously mentioned in the gaming agents division report, the proposed service bar is going to be located in the mezzanine area of the casino in the former on-deck burger bar space. As the gaming agents mentioned, it's going to be, that space is going to be converted to an area for slot machines, and they're also looking to add in the service bar. The functionality of this bar, there are multiple service bars already in operation at Encore distributed throughout the casino. It's essentially a place to store and basically prepare drinks for wait staff to distribute throughout the casino floor to actively gaming patrons. We reviewed the application materials submitted by Encore. We can confirm that they're complete and compliant with our regulations. Gaming agents conducted an inspection of the area. No issues were found. The area has proper surveillance and signage posted. My recommendation for the commission is, in reviewing all of this information submitted by Encore and based upon the inspection conducted by the gaming agents, to move forward with approving the proposed amendment to Encore's liquor license to add in the new service bar. And happy to take any questions.
Questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Hill.
Just to be clear, so if I'm going up the elevator and I get off the elevator to the right, that's where the entrance of the former bar used to be. This is going to be to the right of the entrance of that. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure I'm clear where it's going. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Broder.
I am all set, Mr. I love the catchy name, Service Bar number 12, and I am prepared to make a motion if no one has any further questions or comments.
That's really funny. I have nothing further.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission approve the request submitted by Encore Boston Harbor to amend the casino beverage service licensed area to include Service Bar number 9 my apologies, in accordance with the terms outlined in the submission contained in the commissioner's packet.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder,
Yes.
and I vote yes, 5-0. Anything else for the IEB?
That's it from the IAB today. Happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays and congratulations again, Louis.
Thank you very much.
All right. Commissioners, we've been at it for a little over an hour. Do we need a break? Do we want to keep moving? All right, let's keep moving. If you need a break, stop me. Let me know. We're going to turn it over to Chief Teresi and her team for item number 8.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. We have a few items for you today. For our first item, it's a set of house rules for PPC. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Compliance Officer Dave Harrison.
Thank you, Carrie, and good morning, Commissioners. So we have one set of house rules revisions coming from Plainridge Park Casino, beginning on page 79 of your packet. The following revision includes changes to the section of general betting rules, primarily their cash out language, where the following sentence was removed from their house rules, explaining that the cash out functionality cannot be used on free bets. Free bets are not allowed in Massachusetts, so they are removing this to clean up the language from their house rules and to better align with our regulations. The sports wagering division recommendation is to approve these house rules revisions. Thank you.
All right. Questions, commissioners, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hill.
I think this is pretty straightforward, and if there's no other comments, I'm ready to make a motion.
We don't like free bet language in Massachusetts. That's my only comment. Commissioner Hill.
I move that the commission approve the updates to Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment LLC's doing business as Plainridge Park Casino's house rules as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Aye.
And I vote yes, 5-0.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Next, we have a void request from DraftKings, and for that, I will turn it over to Compliance and Operations Manager Stefan.
Thank you, Carrie. Good morning still, Commissioners. Before you this morning, beginning on page 80 of your packet is a request from DraftKings seeking approval to partially void a series of wagers placed by a single Massachusetts patron. On October 15th, 2025, DraftKings experienced an internal trading configuration error that allowed one Massachusetts patron to place parlay wagers combining correlated player prop markets on Toronto Blue Jays outfielder Nathan Luke's total hits during the 2025 ALCS. Due to a misclassification by an individual trader at DraftKings, the baseball player was incorrectly designated as a non-participant within DraftKings trading tools. This misclassification bypassed internal safeguards designed to prevent correlated player prop selections from being combined within the same parlay. As a result, the patron was able to parlay multiple hit thresholds, specifically 5+, 6+, 7+, and 8+ hits, which effectively functioned as a single wager on the highest threshold at inflated odds, because the lesser thresholds added no independent element of chance. In total, the patron placed 27 separate parlay wagers with a combined stake of $12,950. If the request to void is not approved, 24 of those wagers would result in payouts with a total DraftKings liability of approximately $934,000. DraftKings identified the issue internally, removed the affected markets, left the wagers unsettled, and notified our division the following day. No other Massachusetts patrons were impacted. However, DraftKings has advised that 2 other jurisdictions reached different outcomes on similar requests. Pennsylvania permitted the request, stating the wagers involved correlated markets that should not have been offered, and approved the void under DraftKings House Rules section for obvious errors. Meanwhile, New Jersey denied the request and required the wagers to be paid out as accepted. DraftKings is requesting approval to partially void the correlated lesser included legs of the parlays, specifically the 5+, 6+, and 7+ hit selections for Nathan Lukes, while settling the remaining portions of each parlay wager based on the 8+ hit threshold and any other non-correlated legs, such as NFL or college football matches included in the parlays. If this request from DraftKings is approved, this approach would result in approximately $84,000 in winnings paid to the patron, with an additional $11,500 returned in voided stakes, for a total patron payout of approximately $95,700. DraftKings states this proposed resolution ensures fair settlement, prevents exploitation, and upholds wagering integrity by applying rules against correlated parlays. And while there is no direct evidence the patron knowingly exploited the error, the repeated placement of similar wagers may suggest awareness of unusually favorable wagering opportunity. Ultimately, though, the root cause of the issue was an internal configuration error within DraftKings trading tools, not a third-party vendor or a vendor-supplied feed or external system, in which DraftKings did not identify the error prior to the markets being offered. And so for context, commissioners, in November of 2023, the commission considered a DraftKings void request involving incorrect NBA same-game parlay odds caused by a third-party vendor error. That incident 2 years ago affected 137 patrons, involved approximately $4,100 in handle, and carried a potential liability of approximately $575,000. The discussion then focused on whether the error was obvious, the fairness to patrons, operator responsibility for errors, and whether voiding the wagers served the public interest. In that case, the commission ultimately approved the void request with conditions, requiring DraftKings to provide uniform compensation in the form of cash equal to 3 times the original stake to all affected patrons. And while the commission found a path to approval in 2023, it did so narrowly and only after extensive debate across multiple public meetings, emphasizing that House rules alone were not determining factors and that operator accountability and equal treatment of patrons were central considerations. The current DraftKings request differs factually in that it involves a single patron, an internal trader configuration error, and rather than a vendor pricing issue, and a proposed partial void rather than a full void. However, the underlying policy questions remain substantially the same. So accordingly, the Sports Wagering Division is seeking policy guidance from the commission as to whether internal operator configuration errors of this nature should justify partial voiding of otherwise winning wagers. And that concludes our extensive review of this request. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time. We are also joined by representatives from DraftKings today, should the commission have any specific questions for the operator as well. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I almost said Counselor Stefan. Thank you, Andrew.
No, don't do that.
I would like to give an opportunity, so I guess I'll take the first question on this, for DraftKings to make their statement or their case on this. It's a pretty rough one.
Sure, appreciate it, commissioners. So we submitted this obviously because the fundamental facts here are the wager placed by this patron allowed the patron to obtain higher odds while accepting no additional risk on the wager. As Andrew pointed out, the selections included 5+, 6+, 7+, 8+ hits, which obviously are lesser included and have to happen for the ultimate outcomes to happen. This is distinguishable from sort of the same game parlay wager situation discussed before, where it was a question of, there's a subjective determination of what is obvious, and while we would agree both are, in this case, there is sort of a fundamental fairness question to other patrons in this case, where this singular patron, who I can go into in a minute, somewhat disagreeing with Andrew's point that there's no direct evidence of knowingly exploiting the error, that there were patrons who, across jurisdictions who bet this market honestly by just selecting 8+ hits and obtained lesser odds for doing so. This patron was able to obtain a higher odds while taking no additional risk is somewhat fundamentally unfair to other patrons. This patron, it's fairly clear they knew what they were doing. Their actions indicated an extreme deviation from standard behaviors. The deposits made by the customer on the day were basically exceeded their lifetime deposits on their account they made up to this day. They made 7 deposits for almost $13,000 in total in a single day. Up until that point, they had only deposited roughly $7,000 in platform across their lifetime. Their average deposit amount before that day was $65. Similarly, wagering history, they basically doubled their handle from lifetime on this alone. We also identified someone who we believe to be a relative of the same patron, or this patron who lives in New Jersey, who also bet the same error on the Massachusetts bets were placed between 10:01 p.m. and 11:58 p.m. on the 14th. The New Jersey bets by the person we believe to be a relative of this patron were bet just during the same time period, around 10:39 to 10:51 p.m. And it's clear from the patrons' behaviors they took purposeful efforts to evade our controls. They engaged in repeat betting. They placed 27 wagers that include the correlated markets. Typically, the system is set up to prevent repeat wagering, and the way that they evaded it was by placing additional high probability selections along with the error. And they did this on 26 additional occasions, taking things like very high money line favorites on college sports to ensure that basically they took no additional risk to further exploit this error. We have house rules that specifically address this behavior, and we correctly anticipated in the event this error would occur, the behaviors that customers who were intentionally trying to exploit the error would engage in. So for all intents and purposes, we believe this customer was engaging in fraud. It's deceptive behavior with the intention to unethically gain at DraftKings' expense. We don't believe that behavior should be rewarded or encouraged. But recognizing that DraftKings was not without fault in this situation, our proposal is to pay out the customer on the exact same basis as every other patron who placed the wager honestly on the odds for 8+ hits, just voiding the lesser included selections. So while DraftKings is not without fault in the error, we're not rewarding the patron for intentionally trying to exploit an error. Everyone is sort of back in the position they would be had the error not occurred and the customer bet the market honestly. And in that case, we think that is the fairest resolution to this matter. And it also backs up that, while I understand Andrew's point about house rules not being determinative, they also cannot be toothless. We submitted house rules recently as an update to the commission, which were approved. We anticipated, the rules were drafted specifically that they anticipated these types of behaviors. And, if they are not enforced in situations like this, where it is clear what the customer was attempting to do, then it's just going to encourage customers to, effectively error hunt, knowing that there's no consequences.
Thank you. Commissioner Broder and Commissioner Skinner. I'll go Commissioner Broder first because his mute was off first, and then Commissioner Skinner.
I'll be brief. I will not vote to void or partially void these wagers. There was a lot of language surrounding the debate, but it strikes me, just from a observer's point of view, there were bets available, and this patron made them. I trying to figure out what would have happened if the player in question only got 5 hits. Then the patron would have lost a substantial amount of money based on his wagers. I guess I don't remember which jurisdiction voided and which didn't, but I think fairness suggests that we that we allow this patron to be paid based on the wagers that he made. I don't think it's any more complicated than that.
Do you mind if I respond?
First,
I'm not sure if we need a back and forth debate on this, Mr. Chairman, but happy to listen.
Pete, let all the commissioners ask questions, and then if you want to wrap up your final points, that's fine. But
okay,
we run the commission. All right, Commissioner Skinner.
So I'll direct my question to Andrew, and if we don't have an answer, that's fine. Maybe we can direct it to DraftKings. Were we able to obtain the wager and stakes data from New Jersey and Pennsylvania?
As the Commissioner Skinner, I was unable to obtain the information from New Jersey. New Jersey. Pennsylvania stated that the stake was a very small with a potential payout of less than $10,000 placed by one single patron. And Pete or Joe may be able to back that up for Pennsylvania and then provide some information on New Jersey as well.
That's correct on Pennsylvania. New Jersey, there were 6 users, 93 wagers, for a total handle of just over $44,000 with a potential a payout of $1.8 million.
And New Jersey is the jurisdiction that denied the void request, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'm trying to find the similarities in the void request from November of 2023 and this one. I understand that in that instance, there was a third party involved, a vendor of DraftKings, whereas here, this was solely an internal misconfiguration of the system. That's compelling to me. But I'm also of the mind that there should not be any unjust enrichment for any patron where there is an obvious error. And I think that this, to me at least, seems to be an obvious error. I understand the importance of holding the operator responsible. Let me be very clear on that. It's the cost of doing business, right? You have to be diligent in your offerings. While this is an obvious error on the part of any patron, this is also an obvious error for DraftKings, right? The in-house controls should have caught this error. So that's just something to think about. I mean, we've dealt a lot with these non-compliance issues, unrelated, but the discussion lately for me has been, the independence of a single individual, a trader, trading compliance employee, to make determinations or input the configurations or to determine whether a market is allowable here in Massachusetts. That can't continue to be, because it gets the operator in situations like this, seemingly. I don't have all the facts with respect to what happened here for this particular configuration, but I do think that there should be some responsibility, that the DraftKings should bear some responsibility. And so what I haven't heard, I understand you want to pay out this particular wager the way you're paying out the others, but what is DraftKings willing to offer in the way of, customer service, right? How are you willing to accept some additional monetary responsibility for this error? What is it that how are you speaking to that component? Because again, there has to be a little bit more for me. I don't know that I'm to the point where you have to, pay this out as was wagered, but I do think that there should be some additional compensation to this patron. And really that is just a reflection of the responsibility that and ownership of the matter that DraftKings takes. I'd like to see that represented in a monetary offering to the patron.
Thank you. And Commissioner O'Brien, Pete, again, I know there was a specific question with Commissioner Skinner's, but I'm going to let Commissioner O'Brien, Commissioner Hill, and myself, and you can make your final responses and your tie up. Commissioner O'Brien.
Yeah, thank you. So I am still of the camp that I've been in all along since we drafted this reg, which is an obvious error to me, is either a factual or legal impossibility. So I disagree with Commissioner Skinner. I don't believe this is an obvious error. I think this was an advantage to the patron that he took. There seems to be a disagreement as well in terms of whether there was an attempt to take advantage of the system or be dishonest in the process. I take issue with casting aspersions on a patron, calling them dishonest, making allegations about relatives, et cetera. There was none of that evidence presented to sports wagering. And so I am being asked as a commissioner to make a decision on the record before me. This may speak to the process that we need to look at. I did ask for any communications that may have come in from the player who was asking to get the money and to not have this voided. I think we need to seriously consider, when you're talking particularly about this level of monies, giving the voice to the consumer in this and getting their half of the story. Because I'm particularly disturbed by representations about other misconduct to other states and relatives, et cetera, with evidence that clearly was not provided to sports wagering or this commission. But that being said, I have been and continue to be of the mind that the obvious error is a legal or factual impossibility in a situation, and this is not it. And so just like I did the last time when they came in for voiding, I would not approve this. I also am of the mind that the compulsion to pay in this circumstance may in fact improve compliance. So I'm a no on the void request.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien. Commissioner Hill, you have anything?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think I could have said it any better than what Commissioner O'Brien just said, so I will not reiterate what was just said, but that's my feeling as well.
Thank you. I'll ask.
Mr. Chairman, can I add one thing? Oh, you need to go. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Broder, by all means, you first.
So a little bit about the context that we approach these things, and I very much appreciate Commissioner Skinner's concern about trying to land on what's fair. With this caveat, I don't think we as a commission should be essentially negotiating settlements. You know, we can void or not void, and if DraftKings wants to take some additional action around customer relations, or, you know, I know this is not a civil lawsuit. If it turns out that way, obviously we're not a party to it. But that is something to be worked out between the patron and the operator. To me, I think our choice is to a certain degree, particularly under our statutory and regulatory language, is to void or not, and not to necessarily try to create some kind of settlement that might run afoul or run outside of our regulations. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Broder. I can assure you, having been a part of the 3 times cash back, we sat down diligently with attorneys to ensure that we could actually do exactly what you just said you prefer not to do. But as a preference, as a policy matter, that's the commission may go that way. I do see a distinction here between what happened in 2023 and now. And so what I would ask, and then I'll allow Pete and DraftKings to kind of have their final say, is would this patron, if the hits wouldn't have hit, would you have paid out this patron? So let me say it a different way. Let's say it would have been 6 hits, because there was some combination where they hit 5, right? Where they placed 5. Would you have paid out the wager the same way? I am disturbed, and I hear my fellow commissioners as I'm speaking, by the fact that we could put a patron at a disadvantage in the Commonwealth. So if you can speak to those two issues and also address Commissioner Skinner's issue or any others and that came up, have at it, and then we're gonna take a vote.
Sure, and actually that was, that was sort of the point I was going to make in response to Commissioner Broder. Is we informed the customer upon, we sent a communication to the customer upon realizing the error, and which was in advance of knowing the result of the wager, how this would play out. It was many days before the conclusion of the American League Championship Series, many days before the player had reached, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits. I guess, Commissioner Maynard, to your point about, would you pay out of 5 hits? These were parlay wagers, so should any leg lose, they would lose. However, I will point out that that DraftKings has come before this commission before with a void request. I think it was with respect to F1 racing, where we made a similar request in advance of knowing the outcome of the wager. Those wagers all ultimately lost for the patron. We nevertheless still came here before the commission, requested void, because we believe it's the appropriate thing to do. If we believe legitimately that something was done in error and our rules cover it, and we identify it in advance of knowing, we make the request. Whether it is at DraftKings' benefit or the customer's benefit, we have a track record of coming before the commission and following through and returning stake to the customer. And we did that in that case, and we would have done that in this case as well. So that was the only point I was going to make in response to Commissioner Broder, is that, we don't do this one-sidedly. If we make the request in advance, I will say to you honestly, we will follow through on those requests. And if it is at the cost, even if it's at DraftKings detriment, we will come here, follow through, and request return of the stake to the patron.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Commissioners, any further questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not address Commissioner Skinner's question. I'm sorry. I apologize. In this particular case, we believe the House rules actually would allow us to void the entirety of the wager. Objectively, I understand others may disagree with that fundamentally, but we believe the appropriate resolution here, which would result in a payout to the customer violated the House rules. There's clear rules that basically say you cannot repeat bet, you cannot wager on a market and then add a high probability selection to evade that, where there is a clear error to further exploit. That's why we are suggesting removing the legs that actually would have created the error and allowing the customer to get a payout of many multiples of their stake, despite the fact that I believe there would be a basis, whether you would approve or not, to allege that pursuant to the rules that the wager is voidable. We believe that the fairest outcome is in the middle, where the patron still sees a return on a wager that they should not have been allowed to place absent the error, the configuration error, and that they would still receive, a fairly sizable payout despite that. So that was sort of the middle ground. It's hard to come up with a appropriate and reasonable justification for, that is not connected to the wager to say, oh, it should be something in addition. That's why we made the proposal we did, because we feel like it is rooted in sort of logic and reason as to what would be appropriate for the wager.
Thank you for that response. Just if I could, Chair, a couple comments, and then I have another question. Just maybe I'll get the question out of the way first. Did New Jersey give a rationale for their denial of the request?
They did. It's long been New Jersey's position that, similar to the sentiment Commissioner O'Brien expressed, is that they just don't believe errors exist, and that despite that that having the in-house rules, that they're unwilling to honor the House rules. Whereas Pennsylvania took the opposite approach, is that if they believe that the House rules fit, they are willing to void.
Yep, thank you. That's what I thought. So thanks for confirming. Just a couple comments. I think that it's clear that this commission comes to these matters with an open mind. You know, I don't think any of us predetermines a vote. And for that reason, it is incumbent on the operator. It was incumbent on DraftKings in this instance to provide to the commission through sports wagering all of the information that it had available that would allow us to make a thoughtful decision on the request. You're here now talking about House rules. That House rules language would have been helpful. You're discussing evidence that you have, as Commissioner O'Brien pointed out, that there may have been some malfeasance on the part of the patron and another patron in a different jurisdiction. That would have been helpful to consider. And the information about the other jurisdictions. I mean, you have to make the case for us to help us make a decision on the requests that come before us. And I think, you know, unfortunately, while I, you know, again, want to give you the benefit of the doubt, you just missed that mark. And unfortunately, it sounds like there's a consensus to deny this request. And so that obviously is going to be to your detriment. But my advice is to please use this as a learning opportunity. Again, want to keep an open mind always when considering requests of this kind or any kind that come before us. But you've got to do the work. You've got to make it clear for us the information that we need to know in order to get to a decision. Ultimately, as the way of these things, you may get what you want, you may not get what you want, but at least you would have given it an honest effort to have the commission deliberate. So please take that as constructive feedback for any future dealings with the commission or our sports wagering division. That being said, there was one other point that I completely lost. So I will yield. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
So just one point of clarification. The position that I take should be in no way construed that it is, you know, impossible to void a wager. Attorney Harrington, I just want to make clear to you that it is, I do not think that that is a regulation without import. I do think there are possibilities. I just have a narrower interpretation that I do think lines up with New Jersey, which is legal and factual errors or impossibilities. So just to be clear on that one, where I lie and where my interpretation of that reg is. And then I don't know if Commissioner Broder has other questions or is ready to move. I'm ready to move. But I would also suggest that in terms of full information and voice of the consumer, we just internally might want to mark up and talk to sports wagering about process to make sure that all the relevant information gets to sports wagering before it gets marked up and put in front of us.
I won't conjure up what sports wagering knew or didn't know and what they decided to present live here today versus before written. I won't speculate on that.
I can say with certainty, Chair, that I was with Commissioner Skinner, we had quite a bit of queries on I want everything we have. So they gave us, my understanding is everything they had.
Okay. Well, that's helpful to know. And that's why the public can see right now. These 2x2s are real. We don't ever talk in between. So there you go. I had no idea what you had asked for and vice versa. So with that said, Commissioner Broder.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to conclude the conversation with a motion, or happy to defer to Commissioner O'Brien for that motion. There you have it.
Who wants to move?
I can move. I
Fire
move
away.
that the commission deny Crown Mass Gaming LLC's DBA DraftKings request to avoid wagers as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today, and authorize staff to issue a written order pursuant to 205 CMR 238.35 sub 4.
Second.
Any further discussion? Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder,
Yes.
and I vote yes, it's 5-0. So thank you, and we appreciate you making your position known, DraftKings, and thank you for joining us today. All right,
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Broder,
possibility of a 5-minute break.
I was going to ask for one if you didn't. So yes, let's get together at 11:20. Give everyone just a second, Connor, and then we'll pull this down. All right, I think everybody's back. All right. See where we left off when we do the roll call. Third party auditors. It looks like Tom's going to do that one. All right. This is a reconvening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. We just took a short break. Approximately 11:22 a.m. and they're holding this meeting virtually, so we have to do a roll call. Good morning again, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Hill.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Skinner.
Good morning.
And good morning, Commissioner Broder.
Good morning.
All right, and I'm Jordan, I'm here. Let's turn it to item number 8, sub C. And for that, I'll kick it back to sports wagering.
Thank you, Chair. For this final item that Sports Wagering has today, I will turn it over to Compliance and Operations Manager Lamb.
Thank you, Carrie. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Today, we are here before you to request your review and approval of sports wagering operators' proposed third-party auditors. You can find the list of these auditors on page 87 of your packet. Under 205 CMR 238.19, Section 2, each sports wagering operator is required to have its responsible gaming and problem gaming plan audited once every 3 years by a third-party auditor. Under these regulations, Commission approval of selected auditors is required before any audit may begin. Because these auditors are independent of the operators, they can provide an unbiased and objective assessment of each operator's RG and PG plans. Their review will evaluate player protection measures, identify gaps or areas of improvement, and assess whether operators' policies, procedures, and practices meet or exceed all existing RG regulatory requirements. The proposed auditors bring relevant experience and expertise in auditing, advisory services, risk mitigation, and RG check and accreditation. We have reviewed each operator's submissions with the Research and Responsible Gaming Division, and we have no concerns regarding these selected auditors. Accordingly, we recommend that the Commissioner approve the proposed list of third-party auditors as presented here today. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions for Tom? Are we satisfied with our briefings before the meetings on this issue? It is marked up for a vote.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission approve the sports wagering operators third-party auditors pursuant to 205 CMR 238.19 as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Anything else, Chief Teresi? Thank you, Tom.
That's all from Sports Wagering today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We are now turning it over to Director Mark Vanderlinden.
Yes.
Right.
Hello. Good morning, Chair Maynard. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to wrap up the FY25 research agenda with you with findings and recommendations from the FY25 research agenda. So the Commission collaborated with GRIO, which is an independent knowledge translation and exchange organization based in Ontario, Canada, to help synthesize findings and recommendations from research teams that delivered results in FY25. A report based on this work is included in your packet on page 108. It was a busy year for the research team and our team of researchers out in the field. In FY25, 8 studies were published that fall into 4 broad categories based on the MGC's research framework, including social impact, economic impact, sports wagering, and casino impact on public safety and surrounding areas. Over the next several minutes, I'm going to give you just a broad overview of those 8 reports, followed by select key findings broadly, and then recommendations. So 2 studies in FY25 included an analysis of economic impacts of gambling in Massachusetts. The first report, titled Social and Economic Impacts of Casino Introduction in Massachusetts, was produced by the SIGMA research team. And there are several reports, or a few reports that we have that were created by the SIGMA research team. And I won't list the authors every time, but just for the record, that team included Dr. Rachel Voldberg, Martha Zorn, Valerie Evans, and Dr. Williams. So it's a brief introduction to that report. The social and economic baseline data were collected prior to the opening of 3 casinos in Massachusetts. Since that time, extensive primary and secondary data have been collected to identify potential impacts of casino introduction, and 55 interim reports over the years and academic publications have been produced. The report that was delivered to you earlier in FY25 was a summative assessment of the impacts to date, drawing on findings from prior reports, supplemented with publicly available secondary data, information extracted from other agency reports, and a small amount of newly collected SIGMA primary data. The second report was titled Diversity in Sports Wagering and Recommendations for Future Practices in the Massachusetts Industry. And the authors of this report was the UMass Donahue Institute in collaboration with Gemini Research. As part of the legalization of sports wagering in Massachusetts, the legislature required the MGC to conduct a study concerning the diverse participation within the sports wagering industry. In particular, this study provides findings on the participation of minority women and veteran businesses, as well as participation of minority women and veteran workers in the sports wagering industry in the Commonwealth, as well as the nation as a whole. One study in FY25 focused directly on the social impact of gambling in Massachusetts. This report titled Current Trends of Gambling, Sports Betting, and Problem Gambling in Massachusetts from 2022 to 2024. This was authored by the SIGMA research team. This report assessed changes in gambling attitudes, gambling participation, and problem gambling prevalence among monthly gamblers in 4 of the most recent online panels in Massachusetts and carried out between 2022 and 2024. One study focused on public safety impacts of casinos in Massachusetts, and this report was titled Assessing the Impact of Gambling on Public Safety in Massachusetts Cities and Towns, a Comparative Analysis of Crime in the Plain Ridge Park Casino Region. This report was prepared by Justice Research Associates under the guidance of Noah Fritz, and it assessed the impact of gambling on public safety in the Plain Ridge Park Casino region. It spans actually from 2010 to 2023 and aimed to provide a comprehensive analysis of crime trends, hotspots, and potential mitigation strategies. So, and finally, there were 4 reports in FY25 that focused on research related to sports wagering. The first being sports betting in Massachusetts, a 2023 economic impact report. And the authors of this report were the Economic and Policy Research Group at the Donahue Institute at the University of Massachusetts, led by Tom Peake, Rebecca Loveland, Kasmira Briest, and Rye McKenzie. This report examined the impact of legalized sports betting on the state's economy, analyzing employment, revenues, consumer spending, and spending on surrounding businesses. The data was drawn from 3 avenues: casino and mobile sports betting, operators, gross gambling revenue, and patron spending behavior. The second report in this category titled Gambling and Problem Gambling in Massachusetts, the results of 3 online panels by the Sigma research team, also track changes in gambling attitudes, participation, problem gambling among regular, monthly, or more frequent gamblers, and compares to baseline data from 2013 and 2014 with follow-ups in 2022 and 2023. It should be noted that rather than a statewide prevalence, that these online panels focus on adults who gamble regularly, and as this demographic may be most at risk of gambling-related harms. I'm almost done here. The third report was the Springfield Youth Health Survey, Understanding Youth Gambling Behavior in Springfield, Massachusetts. And this was led by the Public Health Institute of Western Massachusetts in collaboration and cooperation with the Springfield Public School District. During the summer, the authors presented data from the Springfield Youth Health Risk Survey to the Commission. And the survey focused on gambling behavior in students in grades 8, 10, and 12 throughout time between 2015 and 2024, and examined specific types of gambling and trends in problem gambling with an emphasis on data from years that the MGC has provided funding for this project, which are years of 2019, 2021, 2023, and 2024. The final report was a feasibility study titled Prospective Sports Wagering Kiosks in Massachusetts. This was carried out by the Spectrum Gaming Group. As part of the legalization of sports wagering in Massachusetts, the legislature required the MGC to conduct a study to evaluate the viability of introducing sports betting kiosks in retail locations. It weighed potential financial benefits against public health and safety risks. So next, I'm going to just review a summary of some of the select findings, followed by recommendations. And it should be noted that in your packet, the report actually includes a significant number more of findings and recommendations, but I think that what I want to share with you is just a snapshot of some of the breadth of different types of findings from the research in the past fiscal year. So first, a couple of the economic impact key findings. The most significant benefits of casino, the most significant casino benefit is state revenue for gross gaming revenue tax, which was approximately $330 million in the 2023 fiscal year. Other operating expenses producing economic benefits include roughly $450 million total annual spending on lease payments, vendor purchases, and other taxes and payments, about half of which was spent in Massachusetts, and $270.5 million in total spending on employee wages, most of which benefit Massachusetts residents. That same report also noted that the introduction of EBH has been linked to an increase in commercial building inventory and lease rates, and key informants report that hot residential property markets resulted from the development of Encore Boston Harbor. The report, Social and Economic Impacts of Casino Introduction in Massachusetts, provided a reminder just exactly how big the economic impact was during the construction of the 3 casinos in Massachusetts, resulting in $14 billion in increased economic output, almost 19,000 full-time jobs, and $1.5 billion in personal income. Economic impacts related to sports wagering. In Massachusetts, the main impact of sports wagering is tax revenue. It generates rather than jobs or direct business activity. In 2023, sports betting contributed $90.8 million, or roughly 22% of all non-lottery gaming tax revenue. The broader benefit comes from how the state spends those funds on public services, programs, and investments. However, this does not necessarily account for the potential social harms, such as problem gambling. Findings related to sports wagering workforce. Sports wagering in Massachusetts is a relatively small industry in terms of employment, as I just pointed out, and vendor spending in the state. And while the Massachusetts footprint is relatively small, across the US, the industry employs more than 10,000 workers, about 12% of which are in Massachusetts, and engages 1,200 vendors and spends nearly $1.5 billion per year on these suppliers. Overall, a significant portion of sports betting industry comes from a diverse background, both in Massachusetts and the US, and compares favorably with similar types of industries. Within the US, online mobile gambling workforce is 36.1% employees are individuals who identify with racial and ethnic minority groups. 28.3% identify as women, and just under 1% are veterans. Among those who work in the industry in Massachusetts, only 16.8% identify with racial and ethnic minority groups, 24.3% identify as women, and 0.06% are veterans. There were a number of social impacts that I just want to highlight as well. Among people who gamble monthly, the proportion of people experiencing problem gambling and gambling harms increased between 2022 and 2024, including an increase in the number of people who met criteria for problem gambling. The proportion of those experiencing problem gambling increased from 20.9% in 2022 to 25.6% in 2023. This proportion fell slightly in the spring of 2024 to 21.4%, but then again increased to 25.9% in the fall of 2024, reflecting an overall increase during the study period. Increases in gambling-related harms between 2022 and 2024, there were a significant increase in the proportion of people who gamble monthly who are also experiencing gambling-related harms related to gambling, including financial harms, which increased from 18 to 25%, health harms, which increased from 7.6% to 11.8%, and school and work-related harms from 10% to 13.2%. The most dramatic increase was family and relationship harms, which nearly doubled between 2022 and 2024 from 13.9% to 27.2%. Increased spending by those most at risk of gambling-related harm. While the population prevalence of people at risk or experiencing gambling-related problems did not increase after the casino introduction, a greater proportion of casino revenue from those groups has increased from 74% in 2013 versus 90% in 2022. And this group represents 9.9% of the population in Massachusetts. Regarding public safety, spatial analysis did not establish a clear link between crime at Plainridge Park Casino. Crime rates are not higher near the casino. Geographic clustering of crime activity or hotspots appears to be predominantly linked to other crime attracting factors and occurs near other key venues, including Gillette Stadium, the Xfinity Center, and several commercial strip malls at the south end of Attleboro. And recommendations. And again, this is not a full list of the recommendations from the research over the past fiscal year, but rather a snapshot. Economic recommendation. Conduct additional research focused on the economic benefit of sports betting weighed against the social and communal harms. The economic benefits of sports betting are slightly positive, but this does not necessarily account for social harms. And a further analysis would enable the Commission to better understand the social and communal harms in relation to economic benefits of legalized sports betting. Regarding workforce, mobile and online operators should establish a supplier diversity plan and create standardized metrics for measuring progress on contracting with diverse and local vendors, to establish goals for diverse spending and creation of digital tools for measuring vendor diversity. A few social recommendations. Implement stronger, safer gambling measures to reduce the casino industry's financial reliance on people at risk of gambling-related harms, including the implementation of hard stop pre-commitment strategies the use of automated alerts to players when gambling behavior escalates and rewarding responsible gambling. Implement harm reduction strategies in gambling education programs that target people who bet on sports, and expand and adapt gambling support services to address the increase in gambling related harms. And finally, one public safety recommendation was to conduct further research on the social and psychological dimensions of gambling to better understand its impact in relationship with crime. Just to emphasize, this is just a brief snapshot, but also is just intended to give the Commission an understanding of the breadth of research that has come across your desk over the past fiscal year. I think that it truly is hard to try to, when you look at the course of a year and the reports that came to you, I think that the purpose of this report is to just help bring it back to the surface and remind the Commission of what an important asset the research agenda and the research teams that carry this research out are for the work that we do. So with that, Chair Maynard, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mark. It's I had this thought while you were talking. It kind of reminded me of getting that Apple replay, or for those that use Android at the end of the year. This was what you listened to the most this year. Everything was important and impactful. I'm thinking about all the decisions we made based on that. And so with that, commissioners, any questions, comments? Kudos, obviously, to the team.
Now you've given me a visual where Mark and Bonnie should do like a Google album in review, you know?
I love that. I had not thought about that, but that is brilliant.
Yeah, it was a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to synthesize VIP program conversations, AI conversations, modeling for various issues. I mean, big stuff in there, Mark. Big stuff. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Anything else? Not from researching responsible gaming, but thank you. All right. Thank you, Director Van der Linden. Thank you, Dr. Andrews, and thank you to Long also for all your work, and to all the interns and folks who this year have assisted you. All right. Let's go to item number 10, and I think we have a lot of work to do here. Although it's familiar work, we have a lot of work to do. So, Dr. Lightbound.
Thank you. Yes, these items are our annual items that you've probably all seen before, and they do all require a vote from the Commission. To start off, we'll do the second half of the Racehorse Development Fund benefits for jockeys and drivers. Right now we're talking about the jockeys. Again, that is part of 23K. Then there's a section that says that of the 4% that goes to health and welfare benefits, the Commission shall determine how much the Horsemen's Association will give to the Jockeys Association for benefits for the jockeys. So that's what we're going to, what's being asked to determine today is how much shall be paid. Again, you all have been through this before. Unfortunately, if you're giving money to one group, you're taking it from the other, and the need is greater than the money that we can give out. So I want to start with that. A couple of things to remember is that the jockeys have received money through the Chapter 128A, Section 5, that we gave out earlier this year. The Commission approved again, and it ends up being about $4,000 for each of the jockeys. The different statutes are written to cover different groups of jockeys, but both of those statutes cover disabled jockeys. And obviously with no live racing, it was determined that we really don't have any active jockeys in Massachusetts. So that's not involved. We've got Mindy Coleman and Paul Umbrello here. Mindy from the Jockey Guild and Paul from the New England HBPA. If you have any questions, Paul has included how they spend their money to give you an idea of where that money is going and how it's spent. Most of their members don't receive much money from the program. The majority of the money is spent on the what they call old age assistance, basically a retirement program, which comes out to about $4,000 for each of the involved people. Again, there's not much information. We're limited. For instance, we don't know how much people may have gotten from disability claims and things like that. We're limited as to how much information we have. So I apologize for that, but that's kind of the nature of the program. There is a possibility that if that racehorse committee meets again at some point, they could carve out a little bit more money to go towards the HBPA that they could have pointed towards the jockeys. Again, that would take money away from the standardbred horsemen. So again, when you're moving it from giving more to one, you're taking away from the other. I guess now I'll open it up if the commissioners have any questions or would like to hear from Mindy or Paul.
Sorry about that. It took me just a second to hit that mute button. Commissioner Skinner.
Yes. Is there a recommended amount, Dr. Lopez?
Yeah, I would probably recommend the $1,000 as we've done in the past. There is a increase last year. It started last year by one person. So instead of a total of 4,000 going out from the HBPA, it would be the 5,000 that went out last year. Okay. Again this year.
So I said this last year, I'm going to say it again. Unfortunately, this will be my fourth year as a commissioner, having the recommendation stand at $1,000, and I expressed concerns about that last year, wondering if there is any room this year to revisit that number. If I remember correctly, the number is not based on anything. I don't know where the number came from. I understand that is the recommendation again this year, but is there a cost of living increase that we could incorporate this year? And I completely understand, Dr. Lightbaum, you start your presentation making the same statement that you take from one. If you're to give to one, you have to take from another pool. I'm unwilling this year to continue to take from this particular group, or at least to ask them not to, at least I'm looking for a little bit more for this year, for this group.
Yeah, it's totally up to the commissioners to decide the amount. And the only information I really had to go on is that so first of all, the separation of the jockeys and the horsemen at the thoroughbred industry, that's at a national level. As you saw earlier today, it's different in the standardbred industry. The drivers are included in the horsemen's groups, so they're all getting those benefits. My thought, and it's just my thought, was that if the jockeys were part of the HBPA, the most they would be eligible for would have been the old age assistants if they qualified under that program, which would have been the 4,000. And they did get the 4,000 from the 128 A money earlier this year. So that, unfortunately, those are the figures I have to work with. So I totally understand your point.
Yeah, I'm going to start then, just to get the conversation started. I'm going to recommend an increase, a slight increase for the cost of living adjustment, 2.5 to 3%.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I'm sympathetic to what Commissioner Skinner is asking, I went through line item by line item what Mindy and Paul has sent to us. And even though it's considered 2.5% or 3% would be considered a small amount, I don't know where I would take that money from in the line items that they forwarded to us. It's always difficult. I know Commissioner Broder and I, both legislatively and at the local level, we've had to look at budgets, and sometimes you have to take from one, pay Peter to take from Peter to pay Paul. And I'm just a few minutes ago, we had a discussion about not having all the facts before us. And I don't think we have all the facts before us that we could make a decision to say, we're going to give a 3% raise, and then we're going to hold it to Mindy and Paul to go back and take from something that they need to pay for. So I'm not comfortable. I'm sympathetic. Be very clear about that. And you and I had a discussion on this. I'm sympathetic to what you're asking for, but I don't think today we can make that decision to increase the amount even by 2.5% without going back with Mindy and Paul and saying, okay, where are we going to take the money from? And I don't have an answer for you today where I think we could take the money from to get the 2.5% and 3%. However, we have 365 days to sit down with Mindy and Paul, and maybe we can figure out a way to do that. I'm not sure we have the data today to make a decision to be able to increase those figures. So I am sympathetic, but I think we need to keep the figure at $1,000 for this year.
Commissioner Hill, I appreciate that. I hear you loud and clear. What I would say in response is this is the very discussion we had last year too. And so, at some point we have to do what's required to get to a satisfactory number. What I'm hearing is for the second year in a row, where we're asking for some additional information so that we can understand, where we could reasonably pull funds from. I'm going to say it again. I'm not comfortable with that a second time because essentially we're in the exact same spot we were last year.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hill.
Yeah, so in response to that, Dr. Lightbaum or Mindy or Paul, if you could answer this question for me. I'm not sure that the amount of money that came in this year in the 4% was an increase over last year. And if that's the case, I think we've answered the question. We don't have the funds to be able to increase it and then take away from the line items that we already fund. If we saw an increase in those funds, I think that would be a very different discussion, but I'm not sure that that's the case.
Well,
I think that's the answer. I think that's the answer.
I think that's a good question to pose. Can we do something? Can we take just a 5-minute break given these questions? I see, anytime I see Dean circle with his phone to his ear and I see some movement around the screen, can we just do 5 minutes and does anybody else have any questions before we do that 5-minute break? Maybe that's the better way to do this. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? All right, let's meet back in 5 minutes. Okay. I think we can take that down, Connor. This is a reconvening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. Actually, let's give Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Skinner a second.
I'm back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. We'll give Commissioner Skinner a second. So I have great news. I love when I can have great news, but let's do our roll call first. Reconvening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, it's approximately 12:05. Good afternoon, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Hill.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Skinner.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, Commissioner Broder.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so we're going to pick it back up on item number 10. My good news is Edie Serpa and team tells me that Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Skinner are correct. And I love telling commissioners you're both correct. Commissioner Skinner is posed a very important question about, how can this be increased? And Commissioner Hill is correct that it is a zero-based budgeting, and that when you take from one pot, the other pot moves. And so with that, I'll kick it back over. Edie Serpa, did you have anything to add to that? I know that you spoke with a few people during the break.
I don't have specifics on what account will go up and down if we make the change, but I think I need to get that information for the 5 of you. That would allow both questions to be answered, and then we can go from there. And according to CAFO Lennon, it's not a decision that needs to be made by the first of the year. So I will do that work and get the information to you so we have it.
And that was my only question is there time sensitivity? And so thank you for answering that. Is that all correct, Dr. Lightbound? Everything we just said, I want to make sure. That
it does say annually, and so that's why we were trying to get it done. But I think that you all can correct me if I'm wrong. The fact that we've had it on the agenda for today shows that we're acting in good faith to address it annually, because we have not addressed this particular item yet for 2025.
Got it. And make sure MGC Legal is good with that interpretation too.
Chair, yeah, I think that if we can bring this back early in the new year for resolution, and just note that we had a discussion today, and we could essentially note that the decision being made will be made corresponding to 2025, our obligations under 2025, even if we make it slightly into 2026. I don't see any harm in doing that, as long as no one is being put out of a lack of benefits or anything like that.
So let's get it on the earliest agenda, and let's do this. Let's do 2x2s, and make sure we walk in ready to the meeting to make a determination about how does that sound, commissioners? All right, we're getting yeses across the board. All right, with that information, Edie Serpa, you have your marching orders, and thank you for helping to solve that issue. And with that, I'm going to kick it back over to Dr. Lightbound.
Okay, we're going to move on now to the Plain Ridge request to amend their 2025 racing schedule. There was one day that they did not make up, and so it will move their request, their application for 2025 was for 110 days. So now they're amending it to the 109 days. I want to thank Plain Ridge and the Harness Horsemen's Association for working with the Gaming Commission on these days when we had several this year where we needed to cancel for either heat or bad weather that was coming. And there was always a lot of cooperation on figuring out how best to handle this. And we were able to reschedule some of the canceled days, so it's just this one. They will still meet their requirements for under 128C for the 100 days in order to be to simulcast. And this just goes back to the commission's authorization for the director of racing, where the director can approve the cancellation of a race day for health and safety reasons, and any permanent change in the length of the season or the number of days does need to come back in front of the commission to be approved. So that's what we're doing today, is to bring it back to the commission for final approval. And Steve O'Toole is here today.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hill.
Mr. Chairman, and through you to my fellow commissioners, I remember that storm, and it was quite a storm. And actually, many of us, I believe, went to PPC soon thereafter, and that was the discussion of the day, was that particular storm. So knowing what we do and knowing how bad that storm was, I'm perfectly willing to move forward with this request. And if no one else has anything else to say, I would move that the commission approve the request of Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment LLC, doing business as Plain Ridge Park Casino, to amend their 2025 racing schedule from 110 days to 109 days for the reasons set forth in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
And Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is the Plain Ridge Park request for simulcast export locations. As part of their application to race this fall, Exhibit 28 had the different sites that they were including. This is found on page 140 of your packet. Again, this is Plain Ridge's request to send their signal out to other locations. And my recommendation is that the commission approve this request.
Commissioners, I know that we do this every year.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hill.
I move that the commission approve Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment LLC, doing business as Plain Ridge Park Casino's request for approval of the 2026 simulcast export signals as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is Plain Ridge's request for simulcast import locations. Again, these are signals that they're bringing into their facilities from outside for their patrons to bet on. This was part of their application, Exhibit 27. It starts on page 159 of our packet. And my recommendation is that the commission approve this request.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission approve Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment LLC's DBA Plain Ridge Park Casinos request for approval of 2026 simulcast import signals as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0. So that's the imports and the exports.
So the next item is Plain Ridge's request for the premium free period for 2026. It can be found on page 164 of our packet. And then they included this request in their application. as part of Exhibit 27. This is refers back to Chapter 128C, Section 2.4. And they requested the premium free period of June 14th, 2026 through September 5th, 2026. And I would ask, my recommendation is the commission approve this request.
Commissioners,
I move that the commission approve Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment LLC's DBA Plain Ridge Park Casinos request for a 2026 premium free period from January 14th, 2026 to September 5th, 2026, as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
thank you. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder,
Yes.
and I vote yes, 5-0.
Okay, our last item for Plain Ridge is their request for their account wagering system. Found on page 166 of our packet. And again, this was in their application to race as Exhibit 29. They are requesting Hollywood races. It's part of Penn, the Penn ADW. This was originally authorized by the commission in 2016, and obviously has been authorized every year since then. My recommendation is that the commission approve Hollywood races as their ADW vendor.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission approve Plainville Gaming and Redevelopment LLC's DBA Plain Ridge Park Casino request for approval of Penn ADW LLC DBA Hollywood Races, the eBet Technologies platform as its 2026 account wagering provider, as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
You.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Got that one. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
and Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Dr. Lightbound, does that conclude Plain Ridge Park's requests?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Are we going to talk about Rainham?
Okay, we'll go ahead with Rainham now. Rainham has their request. Oh, first of all, I have to mention that I have a typo that for the agenda. I put on there their request was for 2025. It's actually their request for 2026. So I apologize, and I did mention that to General Counsel Stembeck, and he said it was okay to just go ahead and mention that that was a typo.
All right.
Okay. Thank you to Sue for pointing that out. And Sue Rodriguez from Plain Ridge, from Rainham is on the call today. So our first item for Rainham is their request for simulcast import locations for 2026. Just a reminder, they did separate it into two requests, one from Massasoit and one from Taunton. The Rainham runs under those two different licenses, Massasoit for the first 6 months and then Taunton for the last 6 months. So that's why there's the two requests. The documents are found on page 168. And my recommendation is that the commission approve this request.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hill,
I move that the commission approve Massasoit's Greyhound Association and Taunton Dog Tracks request for approval of the 2026 simulcast import signals as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
thank you both. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder,
Yes.
and I vote yes. 5-0.
Okay, the next random request is for their account wagering system. This is found on page 175 of our commission packet. Their request is for Dial to Bet, and they've been using this for over 20 years. And my recommendation is that the commission approve of Dial to Bet as their account wagering system.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission approve Massasoit Greyhound Associations and Taunton Dog Tracks requests for approval of Dial to Bet and US Off Track LLC as their 2026 account wagering provider as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Thank you.
Did I include, did I do that right, Dr. Lightbound?
I'm sorry, I did not hear you. I got distracted.
The US off track, is that also in there?
Yes,
With
it's facilitated by him. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay, second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder. Oh, you're mute, Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I'm a yes, 5-0. All right, does that conclude Rainham Parks requests?
It does, thank you.
All right. I believe your next one is Suffolk Downs.
Yes, thank you. So Bruce Barnett and Michael Buckley are on for Suffolk Downs today. Just to mention, we did receive some emails yesterday and late yesterday from the NEHBPA. Those are talk to Paul Umbrello. Those are for informational purposes only, and they have no objections with us going on and conducting this business today. So the first item is Suffolk's request to approve their simulcast import locations for 2026. As you know, they're not racing live, so this wasn't included as part of a racing application. So it's being brought to the commission this way. And the documents are found on page 178 of the commission packet. My recommendation is that the commission approve this request.
All right, commissioners.
I move that the commission approve Sterling Suffolk Racecourse LLC, Suffolk Downs, request for approval of 2026 simulcast import signals as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
and Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Oh, yes, 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is the Suffolk Downs request for their premium free period. This is according to Mass General Laws 128C, Section 2.5. They have requested the period from October 9th, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. The documents are found on page 182 of the packet, and my recommendation is that the commission approve this request.
I've been trying to avoid the dog, but it's just relentless. So I move that the commission approve Sterling Suffolk Racecourse LLC's Suffolk Downs request for 2026 premium free period from October 9, 2026 to December 31, 2026, as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
and Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item for Suffolk is their request for their approval of their advanced deposit wager vendors for 2026. These have all previously been approved by the commission. There's no new ones this year. They include ExpressBet and its affiliate FirstBet, TVG, Twin Spires, FanDuel Racing, Naira Bets, BetMGM, Caesars Racebook, DK Horse, and AmWest Entertainment, and its platform known as AmWager. These are found on page 184 of our commission packet, and my recommendation is that the commission approve these.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hill.
I move that the commission approve Sterling Suffolk's Race Course LLC, Suffolk Downs, request for approval of ExpressBet LLC and its affiliate FirstBet, TVG, Twin Spires, FanDuel Racing, Naira Bets, BetMGM, Caesars Racetrack, DK Horse, and AmWest Entertainment as its ADW platform, AmWager, as its 2026 account wagering providers, as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
I was going to joke and say that given one of the providers' earlier work this year, I thought about voting nay, but I'll vote aye. Yes, 5-0.
Thank you. That concludes the items for the Division of Racing today.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Thank you. Thank you all. And we will circle back around on that issue, Commissioner Skinner and Commissioner Hill and Dr. Lightbound, that we tabled, okay?
Yep, sure will.
All right, thank you all, and thank you for the hard work that you and your team do, Dr. Lightbound.
Oh, thank you.
And just another highlight that very successful season in 2025. I know Edie Serpa gave that as our last update, but just a really successful season. And for the athletes, they were in much better health this season than last season's. And it was due to intentionality by the commission and you. So thank you, Dr. Lightbound. All right, I have a question for Justin. Number 11 and number 12. Are we going to have to take a vote on number 11 in public?
There's no vote on number 11 that will have to take place in public. So in terms of order of operations, I defer to you, of course, Chair, but what we could do is we could take the vote to go into executive session for both number items 11 and 12. And you might want to just advance the commissioner updates and other business now so that folks who don't need to stick around for that could exit, and we could just go into executive session and call the meeting after that. But I defer to you.
You were reading my mind. So that you were reading my mind. I can't remember the character from Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
The future, but that's what you were doing. All right.
That's Karnak.
Thank you. Commissioner Broder.
I'm here for it.
So let's start with 13, or if the commissioners allow for it, can we go to 13 and see if there are any commissioner updates? All right. Any other business? All right. So let me read some language in. Let's go first to number 11. The commission anticipates that it will convene in an executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, in conjunction with its review of litigation strategy with respect to Public Health Advocacy Institute versus Massachusetts Gaming Commission, as discussion at an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the commission. Would we like to enter into executive session for that purpose?
I
So
move that we
moved,
come into
Mr.
executive. Second.
There we go. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill. Is that an aye?
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Let me read some additional language in to cover Secretary Broder's issue. The commission anticipates, and this is item number 12, the commission anticipates that it will meet in executive session to review minutes from previous executive sessions as the discussion at an open meeting may frustrate the intended purpose for which the executive session was convened. Pursuant to General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, September 4th, 2025 at 11:20 a.m., 12:07 p.m., and 12:26 p.m. General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A7, and General Law, Chapter 4, Section 726D, September 4th, 2025 at 12:39 p.m. And General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, 4, and 7, and General Law, Chapter 4, Section 726F, that's September 4th, 2025 at 1:36 p.m. Would we like to enter for those purposes?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Second?
Second.
All right. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Broder,
Yes.
and I vote yes, 5-0. To the public, we will not re-enter this session, so we're done for the day. Though our work will continue in executive session. Everyone have a wonderful holiday season, no matter how you celebrate it. And we look forward to seeing everyone in the new year. Take care.